Hi, Shawn.
Hi, Dave.
Welcome to How to Be Friends with Dave and Shawn, the sweaty edition, because it's hot in my house. It's not the sweaty edition. It's actually our public safety announcement edition, which hopefully is coming from a new and improved microphone, which is probably reporting this podcast directly to China because it was a cheap microphone.
What's our public health warning?
Okay, so this is really, really important, actually. If you are the owner of a 1996 Mitsubishi Colt, there has been an airbag recall. Please take it in to your nearest Mitsubishi dealership.
Did you get an email or a call or something?
No, they apparently they sent out announcements that the 25-year-old Mitsubishi Colt has an airbag issue.
That's fantastic.
When your car is 25 years old, it has an everything issue. Okay. So more to the point of actual public safety health, I did my deep dive on our wonderful ubiquitous vaccines just to hopefully provide a little bit more information for people because nobody's educating anyone on it. And I just want to say that the CDC, FDA announcements do say some interesting things. For example, it is not a conspiracy that the mRNA vaccine causes myocarditis, pericarditis. Turns out that vaccine has about a 0.1% chance of severe adverse reactions, including an expectation of those things.
Okay.
That's not that bad, really.
No.
That's about a tenth of the death rate as it stands right now. So that's not that bad. Interestingly, a risk of appendicitis.
Okay. Well,
right.
Don't really need that anyways, so okay.
Yeah, you don't really need your appendix, but because they don't have a direct connection, they just didn't include it. So the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, the ones that we got, there is the risk of some clotting problems. The severe adverse reaction events are less than 0.1%. There was a 0.1% case of severe adverse reactions among the clinical trial and the placebo. So it's basically safe. I'm saying this because if you're going to be forced into something, it sounds like it should be the Johnson & Johnson.
Now, they said that the Janssen might need a second shot or showed promise. Are they still talking about maybe doing a booster on the Janssen?
So I'm going to be including yes and no. I'm going to be including all of the research that I've done on this in the show notes for those of you who are interested. Some of you, if you're listening, I've talked to you about this. And I don't have the information on that, but the word is that the very best immunity apparently seems to be having gotten coronavirus, big surprise there, and then getting the Johnson & Johnson on top of that apparently gives you an even higher immunity than having had it alone.
Oh, okay, cool.
So presumably it would be more effective to use the Johnson & Johnson as like a seasonal flu shot than it would be anything else. But we're not talking about the facts. Anyway, so anyone who's going to get the flu shot, the vaccine has already gotten it. I do want to make a point to talk about who hasn't gotten it yet that they're pushing into getting it, which is the kids. I was surprised to hear the figures on the kids. Now, I didn't look into the Johnson & Johnson because it showed up fairly safe. If my kids have to be vaccinated, they'll get the Johnson & Johnson. Shawn. Hi. The adverse reaction among ages 5 to 14 is 0.3%, which is 3 times what it is for adults. And not nothing, but still pretty safe, right?
I mean, yeah.
Right. And again, I'll have my notes included with the show here. It was the CDC has kept apparently fastidious record of deaths from the coronavirus. Apologies, I have to correct myself. It was ages 12 to 15 that had the 0.3% severe adverse reaction. Shawn, since January 1st, 2020 to August of this year, would you like to guess how many children age 5 to 14 have died from coronavirus, according to the CDC?
12.
Wow, way to lowball me there. 133.
That's higher than I expected.
Higher than expected. But when you and they are not reporting how many people have gotten it by demographics very clearly. So I had to dig into a CNN article to find out that there's been 4.2 million adolescents contract coronavirus. I'm not a mathematician, but 133 divided by 4.2 million seems like a lot less than 0.3%.
You're talking about the chance. What is an adverse effect for a youth?
So we're talking about your myocarditis and pericarditis, which is more significant in a youth than it is in an adult. If a 60-year-old man gets pericarditis and it kills him, well, at least he's had 60 years of life. Whereas my son, if at 14 he gets myocarditis and it affects his heart the rest of his life, that's not good.
True.
So in your effervescing energy level today, I'm emphasizing the safety point that there's no reason to vaccinate the kids, and anyone who thinks that there is needs to stop.
Okie dokie.
Proven by the facts.
Yes.
Okay, now I want to, like our wonderful White House press secretary, I want to circle back to your point with the FDA, because of course it's safe now because the FDA approved it, right?
No.
No. Included in the show notes, Shawn, survey was taken over like the last 20 years. Y'all can look at my notes and correct me if I'm wrong. A percentage of FDA approved drugs which ended up with a black box warning. Would you like to take a shot at that by a percentage?
I would almost go with close to 15.
15? Would it surprise you to hear that 32% of all the FDA's approved drugs have gotten a black box warning?
No. It's impressive.
That's 1/3.
Yeah. That's a chunk.
That's a big old hunky chunk of burning love. So, guys, do all your own homework. I know we only have like 12 people that listen to our show, maybe more now that the sound quality is going to suck less.
There were only 5 views on the last video.
There was more than that. Shut your mouth.
No, there's only 5.
Are you going to try to fact check? Are we going to do this? Are we going to do this?
That's what YouTube was telling me, because I looked it up before we started.
It's wrong. Okay.
Okay.
We're not going to do this. We're going to get into our science, because I'm super excited about this.
Okay.
Okay, so Shawn, I don't know why it is that we've taken this long for scientists to get into how scorpions do their bendy taily thing.
Huh. I always just figured they did it like spiders.
It's okay. This is gonna get real fun because of the fact that funny little stinger
Mm-hmm.
is a totally unique organ. Let me see if it'll show a little breakdown of it. Okay, so the point of the totally unique organ is that it's a ball and socket joint, such as your hip or your shoulder, without a socket.
Okay, so it's just a ball.
Right. So scientists think that that's cool, and it took them this long to study it. That's not the entertaining point. You read through this, and I'll include it in the show notes as well, but you read through this, it turns out that the scorpion does not have a tail at all.
Oh, so is it just additional body segments then?
It is. The only part that you could call the tail is the actual stinger itself. So I've got this little picture. See them little bumps up above the stinger there?
Yes.
That's about where the scorpion's rectum is.
Really? So this is all just body segmentation.
Right. There's organs all the way to that.
Huh.
And I think that's hilarious because now I'm imagining these scorpions poking everyone with its butthole.
Yeah. So really the only part that is a tail is the stinger.
The stinger itself. And Shawn, I'd like you to think about Mortal Kombat now.
Okay.
Scorpion's been jabbing people with his butthole all these years.
He's just been jabbing with people with something close to his butthole.
That makes it okay.
It's just nearby. It's butthole adjacent.
It's the science makes me so happy. Oh, okay. And in other news, Shawn. Shawn, how much would you pay a person not to shoot you?
Not to shoot me?
Right.
I don't know. I don't have a lot of money laying around.
That's weird. Just give me a number per month.
Oh, I don't know, a few $100.
Okay, for some reason it's not letting me share a screen right now, so this will be in the show notes. But the city of San Francisco has decided to pay people $300 a month not to shoot people.
You need to go more in depth on that one.
So, quote, the idea is to provide a small number of San Franciscans who authorities believe are most at risk of shooting someone or being shot with an incentive to help and stay out of trouble. So it appears that it's going to be people who are on parole or other risk factors. But yeah, they're going to be like, hey, if you don't shoot anyone, here's $300. And participants in this program will be able to earn an additional $200 more per month by hitting certain milestones, such as landing a job interview, complying with probation, or consistently meeting with a mentor.
But you said this was San Francisco, right?
San Francisco, yes.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. It is the most liberal, absolutely ridiculous. San Francisco and Portland should get together and
make their own country.
Yeah, honestly, they are like the twin cities of stupidity.
Yeah,
yeah, and and both of them have horrible homeless rates. Yeah,
horrible. Surprise. And of course, if you're going to get a monthly check, you're more likely to just be happy being homeless because then you don't have to pay ridiculous San Francisco rent.
Right. And then the good news is if you don't shoot somebody for 3 months, you can afford to go out and buy a gun to shoot someone.
Yep, absolutely. Because your street guns are not as expensive as your guns bought from Sportsman's Warehouse.
No, get a good used street gun. Prices actually vary depending on how many crimes they've been used in.
Do they really?
Yep.
Like, you can have a famous gun. This was used in this robbery, so
No,
the price
like a freshly stolen gun that hasn't been used in a crime is more expensive than one that's been used in a couple crimes.
that makes sense because, of course, there might be
Right, exactly.
ballistics. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
you want a fresh gun, so that's a fresh illegal gun costs more than a secondhand illegal gun.
Okay. Shawn, do me a favor. Can you pull up the show notes? I have a problem where it's not letting me present screen. This won't be as fun to have you pull up the links from the shopping that I've done for you, but I think this is still going to be fun.
Is it under Google Docs?
Yeah, you just honestly. Okay, so and this gives me a good chance to let people know if you're using your Google Drive for various note keeping, you can actually do a Google search for your stuff and it will often just come right up. But I see that you're in there. So let's go ahead and share that first item, the Amazon.com Alex Chew Immortality Magnetic Rings.
Give me a second here. A window.
Just the tab. Just the tab. Don't. Oh. We're gonna see how technologically. So.
What? That's just the tab.
No, you got it. You're good. This is amazing.
That's. You can't see any. Oh shit. All right. Well, you all know my wife's name, and that I live in North Las Vegas now. Congratulations.
I would like to quote the famous Professor Charles Xavier for any of you who feel like stalking a little bit. I feel a great swell of pity for anyone who comes to this home looking for a fight. Excuse me. Shawn will F you up. That being said.
Immortality rings?
Yes. My friend, I want to keep you forever.
You can balance your chi, huh?
By putting cheaply formed plastic rings around your pinkies, which have magnetics on each side. So long as they stay in a very specific point on your finger all day, every day, you will be immortal.
Okay. Alrighty. Can you imagine if you actually did believe and use these, how often stuff would get stuck to your hands? Like your car keys would get stuck to your fingers, anything you put your hand in your pocket for, you try to work and stuff, like paper clips on your desk are just clinging to you.
Not to mention how incredibly uncomfortable those things look. But Shawn, Alex Chew, I may be pronouncing that wrong, the inventor, is not dead yet.
No, I know, but how old is he?
That's not the point. The point is there's no evidence to say that his product doesn't work.
Date first available was 2007.
Yeah.
So it's gotten him almost a decade and a half.
Yeah, that's totally legit.
$29.99. Wow.
It's not so bad. Next item, Shawn.
Oh. Nice. This is not something I would do. Oh, I don't want to chat, but thank you. Give me a second here.
Share it. Share it.
I'm working on it.
Shawn. Yes.
You could get a sloth.
You can get yourself a pet sloth right now.
And they are so adorable. But the idea that people keep animals like this as pets drives me up a wall.
It's kind of sad.
Yeah. Like
because we don't have,
like, don't get me wrong, they're really dumb.
Right.
Like, they die naturally on their own. From falling.
As you all think.
They live in trees and they die from falling because sometimes they accidentally try to grab their own appendage and fall to their death. They also are dumb in the fact that they are only really exposed to predators on the ground, but they go to ground to defecate.
They don't poop in the. It's like once a week, and they go down there and they get eaten sometimes while they're just releasing a week's worth of excrement.
Right. But the fact that you would the fact that you keep one, the fact that you would be like, I have $3,000 to spend on a sloth.
I'm the sort of person who likes to take both sides of every issue. With the sloths, which by the way, grammatically either sloths or sloth are acceptable for the plural. So sloth are not great at keeping themselves alive. So you could make the argument that you have made sure that one sloth will stay alive. On the other side of the argument, we've established that dogs like to be pets. We've established that cats, whether or not they like to be pets, at least dominate our lives sufficiently to prove that it's a net positive. We have not proven the same for sloths.
No, you can't prove that there's a chinch. That's a $400 chinchilla. Are you out of your mind?
It's not a terrible price.
That's
Chinchillas?
fennec fox. That's an endangered species. Like,
I mean, so is the giant salamander in China, but there's like 2.3 million of them in captivity. So I'm guessing that one's not going to die out real soon.
look at that guy.
Yep. There might be some people who have a fondness for their pets and peanut butter getting real excited about that right now.
The mountain jack deer.
All right.
Okay, let's go. I gotta click on this.
This one is specifically for you, Shawn, to celebrate events in your life as soon as it pulls up.
Yeah, that is not.
Share it with our audience. What are you doing?
A window.
Oh my! You're not very good at this.
No, I was just making sure there wasn't anything else on the screen.
You just do the tab anyway. Shawn, would you like to explain to our venerable audience why I want to purchase this for you?
I got a job for a company that does drain cleaning, so I'm really not a plumber. I won't be a plumber.
I feel like you've lied to me. This is the first I've heard that you're not actually a plumbist.
Because every time I try to explain this to somebody in one word, I have to, they don't get it. I go and clean drains. You have to take the stuff apart and put it back together.
Uh-huh.
But I wouldn't be a plumber.
What's the difference between a plumbist and you then? Pay?
Yeah, probably pay. Plumbers do make more, and most of them are union. I do drain work. Let me put it this way. You go out, and if you go to clear the drain, and then the pipe's bad, a plumber goes, we got to dig this up and put in a pipe. And I go, well, looks like you need new pipes. Have a good one.
My job here is done.
Yeah, because it's one specific focus, essentially. So,
while we're on the subject, did I tell you about the wonderful drain situation I found in my bathtub upon moving into my home?
No.
So there were a few things, quote unquote, fixed by a quote unquote neighbor before I moved in, such as the garage door, which broke 1 week later. And the tub was one of them. It wasn't draining, and a neighbor fixed it.
Okay.
So I don't even remember now why. Oh, so the stupid little drain cap came out, and I pulled it off to see if it screws in or whatever. And what did I see below? My crawl space.
Hey, that's cool. It's supposed to go into a pipe, though.
Right. The fix this neighbor made was to just yank the pipe out and let it drain into the dirt.
So your tub was just draining right underneath the house?
for like 2 weeks after
That's
moving in.
that's hilarious. And you couldn't like feel airflow from this? Like, I guess you couldn't. You wouldn't hear it or feel any airflow, would you?
No, no. And part of the problem was that I also had to fix the fan in the bathroom. I had to put an exhaust fan in the bathroom, which was a terrible job because I'm not handy. It's like, let me get back to the point. So I had to call a plumber because that's a job I'm not going to do myself, and he had to get into the crawl space, and it was an expensive job. But after he was done, he's like, "Hey man, I'll clear the drain for you for free. It looks like that's why they yanked that pipe off." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's great." He's like, "I'm just letting you know if it's anything more than like if it's a significant clot, I'll have to charge you at that point." I'm like, "That's fair." And he's like, "It was just hair. They yanked the entire pipe out because of just hair."
Yeah, I don't understand that. Like, just you can drain snake it yourself. Like, they make a drain snake that you can buy at Home Depot, like a
Uh-huh.
cheap one that you hand crank. It's not
Yeah. I
like you
have a
don't.
couple here.
The one on the truck that they're going to put me in that's massive and weighs 200 pounds, you don't need that one, you know. But yeah, some people are weird. I live with women, so I am constantly pulling out P traps and
Yes.
like, oh, I guess I got to get the hair out of this now. Oh, I don't know. Some people astound me. If you don't necessarily know what you're doing, that doesn't mean you should try. I don't know. Like,
Hence, why I hired a professional.
yeah, you can learn by doing, but a lot of things you shouldn't.
No.
Yeah,
No.
that's like in your garage door. Do you have a normal garage door, or do you have that one-piece garage door that just like the entire garage door goes kadoop?
I have the normal one. It got bent, so I may or may not bother to fix it. I'm kind of over garage doors because who uses them? You have to park your car in the garage to frequently use the garage door. But that's neither
Right.
here nor there.
I know a lot of people who do because they don't think their car should have to be outside.
Yeah, my car has dents on each side from my towing inexperience, so I'm not worried about that. Excuse me. Not to mention the occasional parts falling off from the ridiculous off-roading that I do in that thing, because it is a dirt hound. That thing, I love that thing. But we've talked about that before. Shawn,
Yes.
they activated the National Guard. We talked about that in order to staff the hospitals out here, calling all nurses, that kind of stuff. You and I have talked a lot about how important it is to maintain your weight for health.
Yeah.
You have a point of coming from the position of being a chubby bubby yourself. You have some reason to be able to say, this is not good. It's your intersectionality in that regard, right?
Right.
Okay. You can, if you are too fat to be discharged from the hospital, you're exacerbating the coronavirus problem.
Okay.
It turns out, and this is not just fat, by the way, we have a problem discharging patients from hospitals sometimes.
Yeah.
Due to infection, due to health problems, comorbidities such as massive obesity, due to inability to care for yourself and without anyone around there. So I don't want to hear a damn thing from anyone about wearing my mask to stop the spread if you also can't take care of your health or those whom you love to get them out of the hospital.
Yeah, but if they're already obese, how are they going to lose weight in the hospital?
Very simple. Don't bring them food.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If you're in a hospital, if you're 300 plus pounds and you eat only hospital food, you're going to be getting good, healthy meals. You will not be malnourished, and you will be losing weight fast. But if your family brings you pizza in addition to the hospital food, you're not going to lose weight.
I guess my question is, if you're in the hospital and you can't leave the hospital because you're too fat, do you just give up at that point?
Yo, hot damn. Honestly, that's a big ethical question. Because
at what point do you say you're beyond the effort of healthcare?
right. It's a good question. You're welcome. I actually had this thought while I was working with a patient who is on the cusp, circling the drain. And I don't want to speak too many details about this particular patient, so I'll just leave it at that. And I get to the point with my patients where I do not beat around the bush anymore. I start saying, if you do not do this, or if you don't stop doing this, you will die, period. And this thought came to me because I had one patient who was very depressed for unrelated issues. I'm hoping she gets counseling and brings her spirits up. But the connection of the two, it's like if you come down hard on a patient and they get super depressed and end up like not either killing themselves, Lord forbid, or not taking care of themselves or dying, is that a risk worth taking if they're on the cusp anyway?
You're telling me if not sugarcoating stuff and treating somebody like a grown adult is risky?
Oh my God, that's a good way to put that.
Like, well, you hurt my feelings. You're fat. Like, I don't. It's not about feelings. Your job as a healthcare provider is to provide for somebody's health. Unless your job is in a mental health aspect, your job is literally not to take their feelings into account necessarily. Like,
it's a balance in the
I was
regard
gonna tell him
yeah.
he was fat, but I didn't want to hurt his feelings. No, like and honestly, like if you want life insurance, you have to go take a physical, and then based on that physical, they will either like charge you extra or deny you. I don't want to sound like a jerk here, but like, can we get to the point where the doctor does a physical on you and he's like, yeah, so you don't get health care anymore. Like,
it's you.
If you're an adult and you can't take care of yourself, why make the effort? You know what I mean?
I hear you, and I'd like also to point out that you're not an entirely heartless jerk. That I know that you know that we're not going to deny healthcare based on that, but it is also important to explore these things because the same thing applies to smoking or drinking or a variety of other things, and how we live in this society where it's very good that patients have so many rights that there's so little providers can do about a circumstance where it's just. And on the flip side, it's also adults. If you're going to be an adult, you need to step up for your family too.
Yes, exactly. Like one of the providers that I worked with would tell the patients, I can only tell you what you need to do. I can't make you do it. And if I'm going to tell you what you need to do to improve your health and you're not going to do it, there's really no point in you coming back on a monthly basis.
That's a great way to put it. It's a great way to put it.
Right. So I wrote you a prescription for this medication and I told you that you needed to do physical activity and you came back and you haven't done either one of those and your complaints are the same. There's really no point to a second visit. You're not going to do what I told you to do to improve your health anyways. So why are you even coming to see me at this point? So,
Right.
you know, I had a lot of respect for that
Mm-hmm.
because you should be able to talk to people as if they're adults with,
Yes.
brains.
Yes.
So I don't understand why I'm not losing weight. Well, once we get to the point where we've run all the tests and we haven't found any problems and we've
Mm-hmm.
checked your thyroid and we've checked this, basically what it comes down to is you eat like garbage and you're inactive and you don't need to see me anymore for that. Like,
Right.
here's what you need to do.
Go do it.
If you're not going to do it, don't come back in a month and tell me that you are overweight and feel like garbage, because there is no other issue. We've identified it and you are failing to take action on it.
Right. I've worked with patients in many, many cases where they come in and they have a huge amount of fluids on, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? And they're like, oh, I didn't drink anything. As if they need to defend themselves to me. And I have responded with, you're not accountable to me. You're accountable to yourself. I'm trying to help. And you're only going to have as good an outcome as your honesty with yourself.
Right.
If in some cases I'm going to be like, if you're not honest with me, you're not honest with yourself, you're not going to improve.
Right.
And I actually, one of the points that I talked about with a patient, and anyone out there listening to this who's struggling with anything, you have to be able to measure your effort to be able to make it.
Yes.
So I'll frame it this way. You're overweight.
Mm-hmm.
You say, I'm going to try to eat less.
Right.
Okay. And let's say you were eating all day. And you say, here's how I'm going to eat less. I'm going to have a breakfast, lunch, and dinner, period.
Right.
Okay. It's still not doing you any good if you're not measuring if your breakfast, lunch, and dinner end up being 2,000 calories each.
Right. You're not taking accountability for it.
So
literally accountability. You're not accounting for anything. Like, you're not keeping track of your calories or your intake or
right.
Exactly. It's one thing to like say exercise works a little different. Like if you're an inactive person and then you go out for a 20-minute walk, obviously we know you did better than you normally do.
Uh-huh.
Right. However, if you're on your feet all day and that's part of your job, then sometimes it can be difficult to, track what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a device that does it. I will say, just as a caveat, I came home the other day and my watch said that I had walked 13,000 steps.
Holy heck.
Which was completely impossible. It also said that I had gone biking that day. And it turns out from holding on to the drain snake and trying to control it, that my watch was like, man, you're doing great. I've never seen you cycle before, but so I'm going to, have to take that off while I'm doing that and, get some accountability there, even though I usually just mostly use it during activities and for sleep. So it doesn't matter.
Do you even own a bicycle?
No. No, I don't own a bicycle because if I can't walk there, I'll probably drive there. There's not a medium point that I want to get into. I also don't want to go somewhere on something that can be stolen with a pair of, wire cutters.
Happened to me twice. Yep.
Yeah, it's a sad situation we live in. But, the doctor who goes, hey, you should stop smoking, but you're not going to. And you should stop drinking, but you're not going to. And if you don't do those, then I got to put you on this medication that you got to take, or else you die. Those are your options right now. It might sound like a jerk, but in reality, when we are in a healthcare system that gives you 15 minutes per patient, there's not a lot of time to screw around there.
Right.
So,
get right to the point.
Refer people as much as you want if they're going to go. That's another problem you have. You might have somebody that wants to see a nutritionist, and you might have somebody that wants to do, physical therapy. But now we run into a whole other issue where your insurance isn't going to let you see a nutritionist. So maybe that additional help and support structure would help an individual, but they can't afford it and their insurance doesn't cover it. So unfortunately, it all comes back to it's on the individual to make the change, right?
Yeah.
Like
no one's going to do it for you.
Yeah, no, it sucks. It's hard. I've lost weight. I'm working on, this is my second round of losing a lot of weight. The first time sucked. Like, it's much easier to maintain it than it is to what?
You're looking less pudgy in the face. I think it's working.
Probably. I don't know. It all depends on this camera too. One thing I have noticed about this camera is because of the lens angle, man, it makes my face look like huge. Like I look rotund, dude.
And just a quick thing for those of you out there quitting smoking. Are you still good on that?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Quitting smoking, quitting drinking is easy to measure because they come in units, a drink, a cigarette, but you haven't quit until it hits 0, period. Hard stop. But in conjunction with that, I ate like an idiot the last couple of days. And so it is very, very worthwhile, our friends, to occasionally have a fast. Today, I'm on a fast in order to start over. And it's feeling pretty good, honestly.
Okay.
For serious. Have you had a good fast, Shawn?
Like an intermittent fast?
Sure. If you want to do the intermittent fast, fine. I'm not fond of that. I like a good 24-hour fast, depending on your situation, with or without water. You make the call on that. I love it.
Okay.
Why are you judging?
Why
are you using your judging eyes right now?
It seems like an extreme to go to because you accidentally ate too many carbs, so now I'm just not going to eat for a day.
There is a matter of frequency. You shouldn't do it like every other day. Generally speaking, when I'm in the habit of it, I usually do it once a month.
Okay.
And there is a mountain of data about. Yeah, I will. You know what? I'll make a note right now just for you, Shawn, and include it in the show notes. Fasting benefits.
Yeah,
so
I'm aware there's benefits to fasting. I'm just saying that, like, oh shit, I ate a cheeseburger, I better not eat for the next day seems like a really extreme response. I don't think people understand what you're saying. You said you ate bad the other day, and your response was to go on a fast.
Yeah.
Okay. So people who eat bad every day should be like, okay, I'm going to eat a cheeseburger and then not eat for a day. Then I'm eat another cheeseburger and not eat for a day.
Yeah, no, let's put the links back together. I do the calorie tracking diets, and those work very, very well for me.
Right.
And the entire goal of this is just to get myself reset.
Right. So what David is talking about is every time you put something in your body expends energy to process it.
Mm-hmm.
And it also changes the levels of chemicals in your body as your body responds to it. So, whenever you drink a soda or eat a lot of meat or a lot of cheese or a lot of grease or something like that, your body responds in a certain way. And when you don't have a diet that is regular, you can, pump your sugar levels up and they drop. So, what David is saying is that you just stop eating for 24 hours. In most cases, you can have water because water really doesn't do much. And you're letting your body's levels just completely balance out without the influence of the food that you're putting in it. And then you start over.
Mm-hmm.
David is not saying, oh no, I was bad and I had a chicken sandwich that was fried. So now I have to starve myself. That's what David is saying.
In fact, actually, that's one of the things that I like about my diet is I can totally kill a large pizza, presuming that I have calories in the day for it.
Right, if you're willing to track your calories. I don't really do that. I now basically just eat so rarely that I can remember everything I ate, and I eat it so regularly that I know what the calories on it were.
That's nice.
I don't have a really varied diet, So, like, lunch for me is 2 hard-boiled eggs. That's what I eat for lunch.
You should put some Tony Chachere's on those.
I put salt and pepper on them.
That's what I'm talking about. Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning. It's like,
yeah,
you only have to carry 1 can, Shawn.
I'm not carrying seasonings around.
You have the salt and pepper.
Yeah, they come with the eggs.
Oh, okay. You didn't clarify that. Okay.
Yeah. No, we boil our own eggs too, but salt and pepper's ubiquitous, wherever you are. But like Tony Creoles, I'm not going to keep a can at work.
I do.
Yeah, okay.
You're so dismissive today. You're like,
that's on you.
It's all right, asshole.
I don't want to carry a bunch of seasonings and BS around with me. Like, if I can't eat, I don't eat.
That's fair.
I just don't eat. And then I eat when I get home. Today, I had Del Taco.
Uh-huh.
I had a Del Classic chicken burrito. I know it wasn't good for me.
But delicious.
It was delicious. But my breakfast was oats, and my dinner will probably just be a sandwich. So I think I can afford the burrito.
I like that you said oats instead of oatmeal.
Yeah.
I'm imagining you a vicious. You're like Joe Rogan now.
Attacking dry oats.
Right.
Joe Rogan's such a twat.
You're a horse now.
That guy's such a fucking twat. I cannot stand that guy.
Love
he has 11 million listeners, and they're all dude bros who hang on his every word. It's a backwards ass, like, bro science.
Okay. Love him or hate him. I actually respect the fact that he was like, I got coronavirus. I'm going to hit it with my horse dewormer. And it actually kind of worked. But this is the point that I make with medicine all the time. Without the horse dewormer, would his body have knocked it out in 3 days anyway? We can't go back and find out.
Dumb bro chemicals he's pumping into himself on a regular basis? Probably.
Yeah, bro. So
if you piss tested that guy, it'd be half of what they sell at GNC. The
funny thing
they
about
don't do studies on normal people like you and me.
Right.
It's like ivermectin worked for me. And yeah, and you're taking steroids. You drink nothing but protein and eat red meat. Like,
you are a horse.
Lord knows what other additives you're throwing into your body. You're not what I would call a control group.
No. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Our bloodstream is a chemical soup. Anything you can do to reduce the number of chemicals in that soup is probably going to help the natural chemicals do their job better.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. And just on the point of food, I do have more calorie burns now because I got back into sparring again, which is hilarious because everyone that I spar with is over the 6-foot barrier. So I get my ass beat.
Yeah, I would imagine, because you're not doing MMA, you're doing jujitsu, right?
No, that's part of the problem. If it were like the 3-layer fighting, striking, throwing, grappling,
Right.
I would suck less, but it's full pads like full gloves.
Right.
Shawn, you know how short my arms are.
Yeah, you don't have range.
Right. Like
Right.
my instructor was like, "Wow, you got really fast legs." And I'm like, "Yeah, I have to. My legs are the length of a 6'3" person's arms. You punch at me, I kick at you, we hit each other."
Right. That's the only way you can really do that, because they're not letting you go to ground, huh? This is just stand-up sparring.
Right, it's stand-up sparring. It's
just
like
the dumbest type of fighting.
I mean, to be fair, it's what I'm weak against. So it's good to be training at that. But yeah, I mean, in the couple of weeks that I've done it so far, I've knocked over 2 black belts because I just get sick of getting kicked and just like, ah! And it's sad.
It works.
It works.
Yeah.
Sometimes just flailing works. Okay, but that's not. We got to wrap up here. Shawn, I want to wrap up on this. Can you do a quick Google search there for the just see what comes up with the junk woman from Labyrinth? Do you know who I'm talking about while you search that?
No.
Have you seen the movie Labyrinth?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a bunch of really cool symbolism in like old school movies that we don't get in the modern movies. When you get a good picture of the junk woman from Labyrinth, will you share just the tab? Just the tab, Shawn.
Oh, yeah, sorry. And
I'm bringing her... Stop. You just feel like... I'm bringing her up because we live in this ridiculous world of stuff. And yeah, can you make one of those real big? So if you haven't seen the movie Labyrinth, go watch it. If you have seen the movie Labyrinth, just to conclude, I just want to make everyone take a moment to remember the shriveled up old woman covered with her stuff.
Okay.
The symbolism there is pretty damn obvious that you can get weighed down in your stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
You're totally irrelevant stuff. I have not
building this old lady.
That's kind of cool. Thanks for sending it away before I was done.
I'm trying to find the real one, dude.
That's cool. I appreciate the effort that you're doing. Maybe someday I'll pay you for this.
And I cannot find the real one.
That's okay. The moral of the story is, of course, that modern day movies don't bother as much with the rich symbolism like that. That's really... Go back and watch The Neverending Story. Go back and watch Labyrinth. Go back and watch friggin' Hook. The movies that were great before the CG, before just Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings was showing, before Inception, before all of these big CG beautiful films that don't hit the symbolism. Find your ways to get your center. You don't have to keep searching for that, Shawn. We got to wrap up.
I was looking at David Bowie's codpiece.
Yeah, you'll also see David Bowie's penis in that movie a lot if you go back and watch it.
It's a sock.
I wouldn't know. I've never dropped trow on David Bowie. Not that I wouldn't.
Yeah, I think it was like Spielberg or whatever, like had to put a sock down his pants because he thought it was funny, and then it stuck.
Pretty great.
Maybe. Yeah.
Okay, so we got to wrap up. Shawn, I appreciate our PSA episode.
Yep.
Go forth and...
Good episode.
It's good. Go forth and conquer, Shawn.
I'm going to go conquer the toilet.
As per usual.
Yep.
Bye, Shawn.
Bye.